Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. The sensation of fur retracting into skin was not a gentle fade, but a violent, burning tear through the soul, like boiling water poured over ice. 1 second, I was curled into a ball of obsidian fluff, absorbing the intoxicating warmth of the man who had unknowingly become my entire world. The next, the magic of the curse shattered, and I was a naked, shivering man, tangled in silk sheets, my human face pressed against the bare, sculpted chest of Adrian Vane. The silence of the penthouse bedroom was deafening, broken only by the rhythmic, heavy breathing of the sleeping predator beside me. My heart hammered against my ribs, not with the flutter of a feline, but with the terrifying, heavy thud of a human man who had just committed the ultimate trespass. I froze, the scent of sandalwood and rain that clung to Adrian's skin overwhelming my now dull human senses. 3 weeks. I had been trapped in my beast form for 3 weeks, lost to the feral curse that plagued my bloodline, rescued from a gutter by the icy, untouchable prince of our university. He thought he had adopted a stray cat named Shadow. He didn't know he had been sleeping with Julian Ashcroft, the quiet scholarship student he walked past in the hallway every single day without a glance. Panic, cold and sharp, seized my throat. If he woke up, if the heir to the Vane criminal empire found a naked man in his bed, I wouldn't just be expelled. I would be buried. I tried to slide backward, my limbs feeling clumsy and heavy after weeks of being light and agile. The silk rustled, a sound loud as a gunshot in the stillness. Adrian shifted. The arm that had been draped protectively over Shadow tightened instinctively, pulling me closer. His hand, large and calloused, slid down the curve of my spine. No longer fur, but bare skin. His breath hitched. The rhythm changed. The air in the room dropped 10 degrees as Adrian's eyes snapped open. They weren't the soft, tired eyes that looked at Shadow with hidden sorrow. They were the eyes of the devil of the business department. Cold, lethal, sharp as a guillotine blade. He didn't scream. He didn't scramble. He moved with the terrifying efficiency of a man trained to kill. In a blur of motion, the world flipped. I was pinned to the mattress, the breath knocked out of me, his forearm crushing my windpipe. Who sent you? His voice was a low growl, vibrating against my chest. His other hand was already reaching under the pillow, undoubtedly for a weapon. Speak, or I snap your neck before you take your next breath. Hey, Adrian. I choked out, my voice raspy from disuse. Tears pricked my eyes, shame, fear, and the lingering instincts of the animal that wanted to bare its throat in submission. It's me. It's Shadow. The pressure on my throat didn't loosen. If anything, his eyes narrowed, turning into slits of molten silver. A assassin with a pet name. How original. Who let you in? The security system is biometric. No one let me in. I gasped, clawing uselessly at his arm. My nails were blunt, human nails now, useless against his strength. You did. You carried me in your jacket. It was raining. By the library. 3 weeks ago. Adrian paused. The gun he had pulled from beneath the pillow, a sleek, matte black pistol, hovered inches from my temple. He looked down at me, really looked at me, scanning my face. He saw the mess of dark hair, the pale skin, the trembling lips. But then he looked at my eyes. My eyes. The only thing the curse couldn't change. Heterochromatic, one gold, one green. The barrel of the gun lowered slightly, but his grip remained ironclad. Confusion warred with rage in his expression. Those eyes. He whispered, more to himself than to me. The cat. I'm a shifter, I confessed, the words spilling out in a desperate torrent. My family. The Ashcrofts. We carry the blood. I couldn't control it. I got stuck. You found me. Please, Adrian, you have to believe me. I never meant to deceive you. He stared at me, his chest heaving. The silence stretched, thick with tension. This was the moment. The moment where he either shot me for being a monster or listened. Then, he did something unexpected. He leaned down, inhaling sharply near my neck, right where my pulse hammered a frantic rhythm. He smelled the lingering scent of the animal, the wild musk that fades slowly after a shift. Julian, he said, the name testing the weight on his tongue. He recognized me. Of course, he did. He had an eidetic memory. He knew the name of every person he deemed a threat or a tool. I was simply scholarship student number 4 to him before. You're the quiet one. The one who sits in the back of lectures. Yes. You've been in my house for 3 weeks. His voice dropped an octave, turning dangerous. You've been in my bed. You've watched me. You've heard me. The color drained from my face. That was the real danger. It wasn't just the nudity or the breaking and entering. It was the intimacy. A shadow, I had seen the Adrian Vane the world never saw. I had seen him weep after a phone call with his abusive father. I had seen him smash a mirror in self-hatred. I had licked the tears from his cheeks while he whispered his darkest fears into my fur. Fears about the syndicate, about his loneliness, about the hollowness of his existence. I won't tell anyone, I pleaded, sensing the shift in his aura from defensive to predatory. I swear on my life, Adrian. What I saw, it stays with me. He laughed, a dark, humorless sound. He finally released my throat, but he didn't move off me. He sat back on his haunches, straddling my waist, looking down at my exposed form with a mix of disgust and fascination. You think this is about secrets, Julian? He traced the line of my jaw with the cold barrel of the gun, the metal sending shivers down my spine. You violated my sanctuary. The only thing in this world I trusted was that cat. And it turns out, it was a man who watched me when I was most vulnerable. I didn't have a choice. I cried out, humiliation burning my skin. I tried to leave. But you kept locking the doors. You bought me the expensive tuna. You scratched me behind the ears. Adrian flinched. The memory of his affection for the cat clearly stung him now that he knew he had been petting a grown man. Get out, he said suddenly, his voice icy. He climbed off me, turning his back as he pulled on a robe. Get dressed. Get out. If I see you again, I kill you. And if you breathe a word of what you saw in this apartment, I will dismantle your life so thoroughly you'll wish you were still astray. I scrambled off the bed, my legs shaking. I grabbed my clothes. Miraculously, I had my backpack with me when I shifted 3 weeks ago, and Adrian had tossed it in the corner, thinking it was trash I had been sleeping on. I dressed with trembling fingers, my heart aching. I had fallen in love with him. In the quiet moments, in the shared warmth, I had seen the soul beneath the ice. And now, I had become the very thing he hated most, a liar. I was reaching for the door handle when the explosion rocked the building. The shockwave threw me against the wall. Glass from the floor-to-ceiling windows shattered inward, raining shards across the expensive hardwood. An alarm blared, red emergency lights bathing the room in a hellish glow. Get down, Adrian roared. He dove toward me, tackling me to the ground just as automatic gunfire shredded the space where I had been standing. The Vipers, Adrian hissed, shielding my body with his own. How did they get past the perimeter? They must have hacked the grid, I whispered, the adrenaline triggering the beast inside me. My vision sharpened, the room slowing down. I could smell them. 4 men, smelling of gunpowder and cheap tobacco, rappelling down from the roof. Adrian rolled, firing 2 shots into the smoke. A body dropped with a heavy thud, but he was outgunned. He was a brilliant strategist, a ruthless businessman, but he was pinned down, barefoot in a silk robe, with only 1 magazine. One of the assailants stepped through the broken window, a massive figure in tactical gear, raising a rifle aimed squarely at Adrian's chest. Adrian was reloading. He wouldn't make it in time. The logic of the situation vanished. The fear of being discovered, the shame of the morning, it all evaporated. There was only the instinct to protect the mate. Yes, mate. The curse didn't just turn us into animals. It bound us to those who cared for us. Adrian was mine. I didn't think. I moved. I sprang from behind the cover of the overturned armchair. But I didn't shift fully. Shifting took too much energy and time. Instead, I let the partial shift rip through me. My fingernails elongated into razor-sharp, obsidian talons. My teeth sharpened into fangs. My eyes glowed with a feral, bioluminescent light in the dim room. I moved faster than a human, faster than the gunman could track. I closed the distance in a blur, tackling the man with the force of a wrecking ball. My claws found the gaps in his armor, tearing through Kevlar and flesh. The man screamed, his rifle clattering to the floor. I kicked him away, spinning to face the second intruder. He fired, but I dodged with feline agility, the bullet grazing my shoulder. I didn't feel the pain. I felt only the red haze of rage. Do not touch him, I snarled, a sound that was half human, half panther, and lunged. It was over in seconds. The element of surprise, combined with the sheer brutality of a cornered shifter, decimated the hit squad. By the time Adrian's security team burst through the doors, the room was silent save for the groans of the incapacitated men. I stood amidst the wreckage, my chest heaving, blood dripping from my hands, not mine. The partial shift began to fade, the adrenaline crashing. My knees gave way. I waited for the impact of the floor. It never came. Strong arms caught me. Adrian held me up, ignoring the blood that stained his pristine robe. He ignored his security team shouting for orders. He was staring at me. Not with the coldness from before. Not with the hatred. He was staring at the claws retracting into my fingertips. He was looking at the wound on my shoulder. Clear the room, Adrian commanded, his voice dark and absolute. Leave the bodies for disposal. Get out. But sir, the head of security started. I said get out. Adrian roared, the ferocity in his voice rivaling the beast I harbored. The room emptied. We were alone again, amidst the shattered glass and the smell of violence. Adrian lowered me gently onto the edge of the bed, the only piece of furniture not destroyed. He went to the bathroom and returned with a first aid kit and a wet towel. He knelt between my legs, his movements precise and gentle as he began to clean the blood from my hands. He didn't speak. He just cleaned me, finger by finger. Why? He asked finally, not looking up. You could have run. In the chaos, you could have escaped. I told you I would kill you if I saw you again. I hissed in pain as the antiseptic touched my shoulder. You wouldn't have survived the second gunman. That doesn't answer the question, Julian. He looked up then. His silver eyes were unreadable, swirling with a storm of emotions I couldn't decipher. Why save a monster like me? Because, I whispered, my voice trembling with exhaustion. You're the only one who ever made the cold go away. Even if you didn't know it was me. Adrian's hand paused on my knee. He looked at the blood on the towel, then back at my heterochromatic eyes. You heard my nightmares, he said softly. It wasn't an accusation anymore. It was a statement of fact. Every night. And you stayed. I purred. I admitted, a blush rising to my cheeks. Because the vibration helped you sleep. A strange expression crossed Adrian's face. A crack in the ice. He reached out, his hand cupping my cheek. His thumb brushed over my lower lip. I thought I was going insane, he murmured. I felt a connection to a stray animal that I couldn't explain. I felt understood. His grip on my face tightened slightly, possessive and intense. It seems, Julian Ashcroft, that you have entangled yourself in a very dangerous web. I know, I said. Are you going to shoot me now? Adrian leaned in, his face inches from mine. I could feel his breath on my lips. The dynamic had shifted. I wasn't the pet anymore. And he wasn't the master. We were two predators in a destroyed cage. No, he whispered, his eyes dropping to my mouth. But you owe me for the deception. You saw my secrets. Now I intend to learn every single one of yours. He kissed me. It wasn't soft. It tasted of blood, adrenaline, and desperation. It was a claim. A seal on a contract I hadn't realized I'd signed the moment he picked me up out of the rain 3 weeks ago. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with hunger. You don't get to leave, he commanded, his thumb pressing against my pulse. Cat or man, you belong to me now. If the Vipers want you, they'll have to burn the city to the ground to get to you. I leaned into his touch, the beast inside finally settling, content. I wasn't planning on going anywhere, I replied. Adrian smirked, a genuine, wicked smirk that promised trouble. Good, because we have a lot to discuss. Starting with exactly how much of my private life you found entertaining. He pushed me back onto the bed, the broken glass forgotten, the danger outside irrelevant. In that moment, the campus heartthrob and the invisible scholarship student ceased to exist. There was only the wolf and his shadow. And that is how the stray tamed the prince. If you enjoyed seeing Julian unleash the beast to protect his man, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, would you forgive a lover who started out as your pet? Or is that a betrayal too deep? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then.